Welcome back, YouTubers. This is Nicholas Gerard again. Today's topic is not really it's a topic, but it's more or less like a way of life that we all as black men have been going through for years upon years, decades upon decades, centuries upon centuries. Now, the topic that I'm going to bring up today is the black man in America still a slave to the system that we call America? Now, the reason I'm bringing this particular topic up is because I'm looking at, every other race being handled accordingly when it comes to hate or violent crimes or any of that nature. See, like the Asians, for example, when citizens of our country have been abusing the Asians because they feel that they were the reason that COVID-19 hit. Joe Biden automatically passes an Asian hate law a few months back. But other people could just kneel on our necks, beat us senselessly, shoot us down, but there's no black anti-hate laws? But let's not even get to that. This is why I truly believe that black men are possibly still slaves to the system that we call America. It doesn't even have to be 2021. Let's go back to 1863. Alright? Now, on that particular year, it was during the middle of the Civil War, and the Confederate Army was losing severely to the Northerners, as shall you say. They were losing the war, and they had to negotiate something with the people up north instead of having the North with their high artillery, their high cannons, their high bullets compared to the Confederate Army. So, basically, Robert E. Lee consulted with Abraham Lincoln and basically formed up this thing called the Emancipation Proclamation. You can look it up. All you guys can look it up. 1863, Abraham Lincoln made the Emancipation Proclamation that was originally set to free all blacks. Now, to me, that's a mystery. To me, that's kind of deceptive information. Because in my mind, I want to say this early. Abraham Lincoln did not free the slaves with the Emancipation Proclamation of 1863. Actually, the Emancipation Proclamation was a deal set between Abraham Lincoln and Robert E. Lee. Now, what that detail entailed was, basically, since they had gained territories in the South through the war, and Robert E. Lee, instead of conceding at that time, he wanted to negotiate still while they were at war. Now, in 1863, yes, it did free slaves from the plantations of Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Florida. Okay? That's true. But it wasn't the motive to help black people. It was never the motive to help black people. It was the North's strategy to basically devalue the South and make their agriculture and their resources limited. Since there's no slaves, there's no production, there's no money. When there's no money, you can't fight a war. That's plain and simple. Now, in 1863, yes, it did free them, but were we really free after that? Let me ask y'all that question. Were we really free after that? History shows that we wasn't. Right afterwards, Jim Crow laws came about 10 years later. People started implementing the Jim Crow laws from that time to today. So in reality, racism still exists. I truly believe that our oppression still exists. Now, they know they can't pull fire hydrants and just straight up have rallies to lynch us and this no more. They can't do that no more. So the powers that be, they basically try to find other ways to enslave you. Now, that could be through economics. That could be through social settings, meaning like, or if you come from this environment, this is what we expect you to be. and you can't go no higher than this, or it's just flat out racism and discrimination. People of higher power with more money that could be like, oh no, you're not getting hired today. You're not getting the fair wages you get. You're gonna have to work 3 times harder to get the same amount another person will get that's of opposite color. So in reality, are we really still slaves to this system? My answer is yes. Yes, we're slaves to this system. Now, a lot of people might not agree with me. Why? Because you gotta think about how long the black man's been getting torn down since the Jim Crow laws. You gotta understand that these slave owners, that's why you see me today. You see me today. I'm not fully 100% African American. I have a bit of French in me. I have a bit of Indian in me. There's different types of cultures that's inside of me. I'm not saying I'm biracial. I'm mostly black. I might be like 60% black, whatnot, maybe 65. But the other 35 is what you have to think about when it comes to these Jim Crow laws. See, they used to have slave owners enter in the own slave owners, shack, what you say, because they never was in houses. And they used to forcefully enter in and rape our women. So when that happened, usually a lot of the times is they used to impregnate them as they raped them. And the male had to deal with that even back then. So even in that time, that was a bit of demasculization of the black man. See, the white man believed like, well, if I could take over your territory and take over your female, then that means you automatically subservient to me. So imagine this. Think about what's going on right now. Planned Parenthood. Think about Black Lives Matter. They are still trying to subjugate the black man to make him feel inferior to the powers that be. And all that does is demasculate us and make us seem like we can't even stand up for ourselves. Think about who was the leader of Black Lives Matter. It was a woman. And you know why they didn't put a black man in that position? Because they knew that black man would have been able to be an inspirational voice and lead millions to the cause. See, with a female, you can just put her in there. She might seem like she's doing the right things, but then the powers that be could still enter in her, just like those Jim Crow laws back in the day. They could infiltrate, they could penetrate, and then their whole mission is still about them. You understand? So you can't do that to a black man leading anything. Think about our past leaders. Think about the people who were revolutionaries. Think about all those people who stood up to the justice system, to the powers that be, that got knocked off as soon as they did it. You gotta look at Martin Luther King. You gotta look at Malcolm X. You have to look at John F. Kennedy. Now, he's not black, but I promise you, he was for the people. Anybody that goes against this system, anybody that goes against the way that they want this country to be, is going to be a target. It's going to be an assassination target, or a lack of credibility target, or an imprisonment target. Think about Nelson Mandela. See, all these leaders that stood up for a cause that was male, that wasn't Christopher Columbus, that wasn't Abraham Lincoln, they're going to automatically get shut down. They're going to automatically receive the punishment that the powers that be feel like they could do. Now, in my mind and in my heart, that's one of the key reasons why we still slaves to the system. Because we still live the Jim Crow laws that exist today. Field nigga versus house nigga mentality. You think that wasn't Jim Crow base? You think that wasn't Jim Crow mindset? See, their whole goal was to divide the black culture as a whole, which they're still doing a great job of it. Because, for instance, people like me that speak on these type of issues, I'm gonna have a few haters that's black be like, oh yeah, you Uncle Tom, or oh yeah, you full of this, oh yeah, we don't like how you coming, you should be cool. But that still goes back to the Jim Crow laws that's been established. See, people don't understand, like, we're own system of what these people have been trying to do for us for the last 147 years and counting. and counting. Matter of fact, it's more than that. Maybe 150 years this has been going on. But people that really don't do their research and really don't look into why things happen the way they happen, are lost in the sauce. And I'm gonna keep it real, Even we could even go back beyond 1863. We could go to 1776 when the Constitution was first founded. Don't you know, if you read the Constitution back in 1776, they viewed the black man as 1/8 of a human. You know what that means? That's almost like they saw us as walking, living animals. They didn't see us as human. And that's the problem. Everybody want to say, oh yeah, let's affect change. Let's do this. Let's follow this cause. Well, the first effective change that I believe needs to happen is the restructuring of the Constitution. I'm going to say that off top. And the only thing, and it's only a sentence. If you just take that sentence out and take out what black men value is in the Constitution itself, that will be a difference of change, because then people won't, in the street, people won't look at me and think I'm trying to rob them or trying to terrorize them or trying to beat them up or suspicion of negligent evil activity. See, the reason that us as a culture is built this way, or is literally built this way, is because of the laws and statutes and rules that's been put in place for almost 200 years now. I give it 150 to 160 years now. Ever since we've been emancipated, there really haven't been emancipation. Don't you know most of the jails are filled with minorities, Hispanic and blacks especially? I give it at least, I didn't look up this research. I'm guesstimating this research, but I'll give it 80% of the prisons in America are filled with minorities. Think about it. Let's get a think tank on this one. You know what I'm saying? So are we really emancipated? Are we really free? Are we really in the situation where we could dig ourselves out of and become empowered within our own self? And the answer is no. And see, this is why people feel like they could disrespect us. This is why people feel like they could tame us. This is why people feel like they could straight up put us in leashes. Because your master's been doing it for almost over a century. Why you think the black woman wouldn't feel like they could put you on a leash either? See, understand that. And it's not that I'm aggravated. I'm not upset. I just need to give you guys a point of why we need to start taking back our manhood as black men. We need to start taking back our roles as the kings and princes and suitors that we used to be in our native land. Now, yeah, America have these things going on. You know what I'm saying? I'm not really tripping off of the social injustice and the violence that's going on right now, because it actually is much needed. People need a wake-up call. You understand? And I'm getting hot in this situation. See, I'm in my car at 90 degrees expressing this, because that's how serious it is in my brain for change. Because change is needed. We need to get our respect back. You understand? We need to get our credibility back as black men and as people that really produce this country. It's off of our backs, off of these muscles, off of my body, that half of this country's been built. My ancestors built this country for the last 300 years. But we don't get credit for that. Black men don't get credit for that, dude. All black men get credit for is shucking and jiving, talking that dumbness. Not relating to the people how they supposed to relate to them. You know what I'm saying? Because we're the salt of the earth. We one of the 12 chosen tribes of Israel. Do you know that? Does people know that? Do people know that the black race in general is one of the 12 tribes of Israel? No, they're not going to tell you that, because they want you to stay stuck on the Jim Crow philosophy that was set for the last 150 years. And that's what needs to change. We need to stop getting out of that mentality of field nigga versus house nigga. We need to get out of that mentality of raising up feminine men. We need to get out of that mentality of do what you want, act how you want. Because this country is not built for black men to do whatever and act however they want. So why are you learning the teachings of a race that's trying to bound you for doing the same things? That's what I'm not understanding. That's what's not through all these black people's skull that's gonna say something against me. Guess what? I don't care. See, that's my American right. I got every right to care, to not care, to move, to don't move. And that's what we need to get back in this country. Yes, if we now the question back a few minutes back, are we slaves to the system? The answer is yes. Now what we need to do about it, that takes me, that takes you, and it takes the next man to realize what their worth is. YouTubers, thank you. I'm out. That's it for my message today. I hope you guys learn a little bit of information from what it is. Holla at you. Peace.